And we are live from OEGlobal in Delft in the Netherlands with our guest Amanda Coolidge and on-site buddy Helen. Why don't we start with the virtual side, which is, oh, Nate just joined, great. And let's start with Ken.
Sure, I'm Ken Bauer, Associate Professor of Computing Science here in Guadalajara at the Tecnológico de Monterrey, and I just love to do virtually connecting. And I'll pass it off to Nate to give himself an introduction.
Hi, I'm Nate Angel. I'm here in Portland, Oregon, where it's still a little bit dark, kind of early in the morning here. And I work at Hypothesis, the nonprofit that stewards annotation technology and practices.
Nice. Let's go to Amanda and Helen. How you ladies doing?
Great. The conference is officially finished, and we're standing between us and a big block party here in Delft.
Nice.
Are you going to introduce yourself? I'm Helen DeWard. I'm on-site virtual buddy today.
I'm Amanda Coolidge. I'm Senior Manager of Open Education at BC Campus and in Victoria, British Columbia. And I'm also on the board for the Open Education Consortium.
And how's the conference going so far?
Sounds boring. I mean, it looks like you're not having fun at all.
The conference has been, I think it's been really incredible, actually. I think it's been a really great mix of diverse presentations. And I don't know about you, but I made it kind of a mission to not necessarily always go to the ones that I would see in North America. I really tried to get out and see presentations that were much more global so that I could get a sense of what else is happening.
Yes, I made a push to go to and talk to people who were from the European context, particularly those who were presenting from Delft University, because they have a lot of stuff happening here. And it was really good to make a lot of new connections.
What did you see that was like different in terms of perspective from them, Amanda, or was it all common?
No, there was a woman. There's a woman from Uruguay who's doing. She was talking about. It's not necessarily anything particularly different than what we talk about, but she is trying to figure out a way to basically create one repository for her institution that would allow all the open access materials as well as the OERs, so it would all live in the same area, and trying to figure out what that would look like. And so she's been working on trying to bridge sort of the open access and OER. The other interesting thing was the keynote Erin, what's her last name, from Mexico.
I didn't see the lineup. Wow, now I have to go look.
So she did a really great keynote in talking about how she's she's super dedicated to the work she does with her students in physiology and neuroscience, and how she's been really utilizing open data, open research, open science practices within the open education arena. So there was this really interesting complement kind of spread out through a lot of the sessions I found that were talking more about bridging, rather than siloing open education always as like OER or just about the resources or just how is it that we can incorporate other open movements so that it's a much more wealthy educational experience.
And I tended to focus this time around open research, and I tried to tap into a lot of the GoGN network, where a lot of the individuals who are doing research through the GoGN group presented here. So I went to a number of them just to see what are the new foci for research in open technologies, education, relationships, OEP, OER. So it was a really interesting mix of topics. Adrian Stagg, for example, from Australia, kept us in stitches. At 5 o'clock the first day, we're all really tired, and he just had that spin on open educational policy in Australian context, which was a bit of an eye-opener because a lot of it is the same as what we're challenged with in Canada.
Hmm. And Amanda, I saw in one of your sessions, I thought it was really intriguing, the OER action plan,
Yes,
trying
the
to
OER.
involve the government to facilitate open education.
Right. So, well, the OER action plan, that actually was developed by Spark.
Oh,
If anybody's actually been involved or has the opportunity to take a look at that, I can also tweet out the link. But what's great about the OER action plan that was developed is it takes a look at what are the different communication standards and strategies that you need in order to really start having that conversation much more broadly across the institution. So they come up with the way it works is there's a set of worksheets, and so you start off with identifying who the stakeholders are at all of your institutions. At your institution, you move on to working on a communication action plan. It also gets you to start thinking about, based on what is the current status quo of your institution that would where you could see that open would make a difference. And so it gets you thinking a bit more deeply about it and much more in a holistic way, and gets you to kind of action item out things that you would do, and goals. So goals, activities, action items, and then assessment strategies for it all. So it's a great package that I've actually repurposed quite a bit, and changed it a little bit more to suit more of the Canadian context in some ways. And when I've been working with some of the institutions to do that, it's really helped them identify. And actually, I did a workshop back in the new year, the early January, with all of the student government leaders across British Columbia. And so we had them go through this exercise to be able to get them more engaged in terms of, we don't need to just do another textbook broke campaign, #textbook broke, but do that and what else? And how can you push that to the next level?
Maybe following up on that, Amanda, I'm wondering, in your position on the board, what are you guys seeing from that point of view, and what are you trying to work on next in terms of what are the board's priorities and moving forward?
Yeah. So the board right now, we have a new executive director, Paul Stacey. So that this is actually the first meeting that we're having with the staff and Paul as the new executive director. So the real plan for these next 2 days, we're meeting today or this afternoon and then tomorrow, is to really sort of set up what is the vision going to look like next. And one of the things, as new board members have come on, one of the things we've articulated back to the staff is we really believe that the membership to the Open Education Consortium needs to be better explained, and members really want to know, what else can I receive from being part of this membership, and because it's it's a long-standing organization. The conference has been incredible. They also, in case people aren't aware, Open Education Consortium is the group that leads Open Education Week, and so these initiatives have been incredible in terms of these initiatives have been really incredible. Just dropping off a book.
I just got my personalized copy of Free Range Learning in the Digital Age by Dr. Peter Smith. He was the closing keynote. He's on the board too, and he's on the he's on the board.
So I think for us over the next few days, it's really about getting a better sense as to what's next for OEC, and how does Paul want to take that into the next phase.
That makes sense. And remind me, is membership at the institutional level or the individual level, or both?
Interesting you asked that. It is membership currently at the institutional level. However, there is talk of expanding it to an individual level, because there are members whose institutions, there is interest for people individually to become members. And so we're looking at the expansion of that as well.
Wonderful.
That seems, oh, sorry, go ahead.
There was an announcement, I think, did Paul make the announcement about the OE Consortium's next conference?
So it was going to be in Asia this for the next year. However, so it would have been spring 2019. However, the facility that was going to be in is not going to be ready in time, and so we're re-releasing the call for people who would like to host OEGlobal in their country, and so that is currently open. And then the idea would be the conference would be fall 2019. Give it a little bit of space. Yeah,
There's an opportunity, Ken.
Yeah, I was
Mexico?
just checking, and Tecnologio de Monterrey isn't actually a member, so I'm gonna go and look and pursue that. And he sent me down a rabbit hole. I was looking about Erin, because she's here in Mexico and she's at UNAM, and actually she taught high school in our institution apparently.
Oh,
So I'm gonna have to contact her.
Oh, you would love her. She's so great, and she's very innovative, inspirational, and very dedicated to seeing her students achieve the best.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then biomechanical engineering and hooking up their hearts and their muscles.
Yeah, you sent me down the rabbit hole here, so I was probably looking distracted. But yeah, I definitely want to reach out to Erin. So thanks.
I thought
What
everybody.
about
go ahead.
You're an uncommon woman.
I am an uncommon.
Tell us about that.
So I am on a. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, we need a picture of you holding the book up.
I want my coloring book.
I wish I printed it out.
No,
Put it on a little stick.
on her Twitter.
No, I had to change that.
We did.
So let me tell you a little something interesting.
Internet. Dear Internet,
If you change your hair color or you change your hairstyle, and then you go to a conference, you will have about 20 different people coming up to you and asking, like looking at your name tag and being like, "Oh, you look so different." So then I had to change the profile pic so that people knew who I was. But anyway, that's Mary Burgess and I. So Mary Burgess is the executive director of BC Campus. And I printed off the sheet so there could be like pop-up coloring stations. So I'm in this coloring book along with, I think, 20 other uncommon women from around the world. And for those that don't know the project, it's about, and Mahabali's in it as well. And it's about empowering women in the open movement to sort of share more of our voices and to amplify the great work that sometimes is often behind the scenes, and to ensure that people know who everybody is. So yeah, it's been great. Yeah, actually, I was out for dinner last night out for a drink last night after the dinner, and I ran into one of the women, or I met her. She's from CC, Portugal. And she introduced herself, and she said, "Yeah, I'm in the coloring book too." So I was like, "Oh, that's great."
commonalities.
Yeah,
We should have a session where we bring all the uncommon women together.
Ooh,
And see what they have in common.
Yeah.
See what they have in common.
good. That would be awesome.
We know they have one thing in common, right? They're all in the coloring book. So there's that.
That'd be great.
We should. It also seems like we should have a contest for the coloring. I mean, or at least a wall where people can post, different versions of you colored in different ways. Wouldn't you love that?
We have so for BC Campus, we have a big event coming up at the end of May, and we're doing Festival of Learning, and we actually have a childcare service for attendees if they like to bring their family to the conference. And so I was thinking, we should give the kids the coloring book for like something, like an activity that they could do. Yeah.
I'm not giving my precious coloring book to the kids.
And I think it's important for all those kids to have a coloring book that's a lot of uncommon women, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're breaking what is going to be seen as a lot of stereotypes of women's work in this industry. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. What else can you tell us that's new with your work at BC Campus?
So we've been really we've just put out a new call for grants. So we're looking at more development of open resources across the province and getting institutions more involved. We put out a new grant strategy this time, which we call the OER Sustainability Grant. And the reason for that is it's to, while we still work with institutions that are just entering into open. We also recognize that there's institutions that are maybe like at the mid stage of really investing in open, and then there's the others like KPU, which has really made it such a vision. And so the sustainability grant is an opportunity for institutions to let us know, like, what could we provide financially to you that would allow you to get to your next stage? Is it through awareness workshops? Is it through even distributing those grants further? And then we've been working on the Z-Creds, so the zero cost degree pathway programs, and that's exciting. We're looking forward to seeing those come out. We just brought on 4 new researchers to our Open Research Fellow program. And those fellows are Aaron Fields from UBC, Steve Earle from Vancouver Island University, Florence Daddy from the Justice Institute, and Jonathan Barrett from the University of British Columbia. And so they are going to be taking different pathways to ways in which they want to do research. So the 2 that I recall, one a research project is Steve Earle is going to be looking at what is the most frequent modality that students are actually using the open resources or our open textbooks specifically. Are they downloading them for phone? Are they using them on iPad? Are they printing them? So he wants to really get in deeper into that. And then Erin is going to be doing some research that's much more related. She's a librarian at UBC, and she's going to be looking at ways in which librarians can embed open education into their digital literacy skill program, and how they work with students in terms of research, and also when they go and do presentations or teach classes on the digital literacy skills. So I think that one will be really interesting as well. So we're doing that, and then we have the big Festival of Learning at the end of May.
One of the eCampus Ontario fellows will be
great.
presenting at the Festival of Learning.
Who's that?
Aaron Langeville.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he's from
fun.
Laurentian in Sudbury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're gearing up for that. What else? I don't know. I feel like it's always something. There's always stuff happening.
Would you one question I've been sort of playing around with, Amanda, and maybe you could answer this from the BC campus perspective, is in this world of trying to build more sustainability for open, which is sometimes human practices, but also sometimes technology and tools, right? The infrastructure that's necessary to move it forward. Do you feel like how do you think, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble formulating the question. How do you think about the question of where ownership for the infrastructure needs to be located? So, I mean, I think we all look with envy at British Columbia and at Ontario for having these really what seem like robust public structures to maintain that infrastructure in ways that we often don't down here in the United States. And I don't know about Mexico, Ken. And at the same time, in the United States, there's a big push to commercialize a lot of the aspects of what you might call the open infrastructure, including plays by some of the biggest vendors in the game. And I'm sort of wondering, in the UBC perspective, do you see public ownership or institutional ownership or even individual sort of stewardship of the infrastructure as being key? And when do you think it's appropriate for reaching out to kind of commercial support for infrastructure?
Interesting. So I think initially, the way that the trajectory of our work is going and has gone is, I think initially having the, I'll use Pressbooks as our example. And so, our technical infrastructure for Pressbooks, we needed to have it housed and work with faculty from our center, like from BC campus as a central body. And then we were able to really provide support mechanisms that would then go out, because we didn't want to introduce a whole new concept to our faculty and all the institutions on open textbooks and open pedagogy. And then, oh, by the way, now you will need to learn a new technology. And so, however, saying that, now we're at the point where we have institutions that have faculty have been coming to them and saying, oh, I really want to adapt this. I want to be able to do this. And those institutions, I want them to own their Pressbooks instance. You know, I want them to feel like they have a ownership over that. Having said that, also too, I also wonder, now you have me thinking, is having, one thing that's nice about having the Pressbooks at our institute or with BC campus is we know all of the development that's going on, right? But if you
are doing, yeah, right.
Right. And then, however, if you put it in an institution, then you have to find out what's happening, right? Which is fine. I mean, and it gives the institution more empowerment, and maybe that's the sustainability model, is to ensure that they feel empowered to be able to do that. The commercial piece, I don't really know. I don't know if I really feel comfortable being able to say something towards that, because you know, at BC campus, I can have vendors come and speak to me, but at the end of the day, I have no control if an institution wants to play that game or not, right? And so, so I kind of just try to stay out of that. Cool.
That's probably wise. Sorry if I put you on the spot by even asking.
I like to think of myself as like Switzerland, you know?
Nice when you're in Delft.
Yeah.
Except with a better haircut.
So we're going to, I think, let Amanda go. She's got a board meeting to get to in a few minutes and might need to take a little bit of a break before that.
Oh, thanks for taking the time with us, Amanda.
Oh man, I'm so excited. Yeah. It's too bad it's 6:30 in the morning and back home.
And this is, for me, one of those fangirl moments.
Oh my God.
I met so many virtual connecting people here. And Amanda, well, it's just one of them. So
are we doing virtual connecting at Festival of Learning?
We should.
Yeah, we should.
We should.
Definitely. One thing I'm going to approach Aaron about, actually, and that's what these things are going through my head right now, is being the virtual lead for Latin America. I want to pursue more conferences in Spanish as well, and so I'm going to approach Aaron about that, as well as Bea McArthur.
I was just thinking about that, to expand to South America. That'd be really interesting.
Lady who's doing research in Uruguay. I was talking to her about.
Yeah, I'd like to talk with her. So that'd be great. So now I got a whole bunch of things on my task list. Thank you.
One thing I found really interesting from one presentation was the Roar for D presentation. And the reason I'm going to bring this up last is because I think this is really important for those who live in Global North. He said that that one thing he would say is a call out to those of us who are working with faculty, or even faculty ourselves, working with open, is that we need to start taking a look more at the Global South resources that we can then adapt, versus us adapting, or versus them always having to adapt. So if anybody knows where you can find Global South open resources, I'd love to know. And I put a tweet out about it, but I haven't seen it. So. That's
an excellent point, Amanda, because one question I was going to do, what can faculty do to promote? And it's, most colleagues I speak with don't even know the concept exists.
Yeah.
And I've got a project going with one faculty, and I opened his eyes, and hopefully we can spread it more. And I'm going to look at the membership at OE Consortium for our institution.
Yeah, not to belabor this point when Amanda needs to go, but we were just talking about this in the Creative Commons context too, about how so much of the open movement has been this sort of the global north doing things and then trying to disseminate it to the global south as a kind of model for how to evolve and change, when maybe in reality we should flip that, which is I think what you were suggesting that this woman was saying, if I have the gender right, and instead think about how the periphery can start to inform the core in different ways.
Wonderful. Well, we should let you go, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks to you too, Helen. And we can stay live before we close out. I don't know if there's much conversation. I got totally distracted when she mentioned Aaron, and I'm Googling her, and she said UNAM here in Mexico City. And yeah, I definitely want to touch base with her, because Bea McArthur has reached out to me before about doing virtually connecting sessions in Spanish. And the one session we had that we really needed Spanish, Nate was there, which was great. And I couldn't make that one. I was like kicking myself. I was like, oh, I could have been there to help out.
Do you speak Spanish, Nate?
Nate froze up.
Oh, he's frozen, but
He's
smiling.
completely frozen. He's got a great smile right now. Yeah, so that's one thing I want to look at. But yeah, we might as well close up for the day, I guess.
Okay.
And thanks for doing this. Good job, Greg.
Thank you.
It
Thanks
went
for the
totally
help.
smooth.
Yes.
And we'll close up for today. So you got to hit the stop broadcast button.
Okay.